All right, let's talk about space. Today, we're going on a journey through the cosmos, but we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to dive into some of the most mind-bending, counterintuitive, and let's be honest, just plain weird facts about our universe. So, let's get right into it.
So where do we even begin with all this? Well, believe it or not, we're going to start right here, on our own planet. Because sometimes, to really grasp the scale of what's out there, you've got to take a fresh look at what's right under your feet. Okay, so here's a question for you. Think about it. When you look up at a clear night sky, you see just an endless sea of stars, right? It feels infinite. But how does that number actually stack up against the number of trees we have right here on Earth? Go on, take a guess. The answer might really surprise you.
And here it is. It's not even a close call. There are an estimated 3 trillion trees on Earth. That absolutely blows the estimated 100 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way out of the water. It's a fact that just completely flips your perspective, doesn't it? It reminds you that even with the vastness of space, the scale of life right here at home is just staggering.
Okay, so with that new perspective locked in, let's venture out. Let's try to wrap our heads around the true, mind-bending vastness of space. Because while we might have more trees, the scales out there are, well, they're almost impossible to truly comprehend. Let's start with a number, 1 million. What do you think this represents? Just take a second. What in our solar system could there possibly be a million of? That number, 1 million, that's how many planets just like ours you could comfortably fit inside the sun. Our own star is so ridiculously massive that our entire world, everything we've ever known, is like a tiny little marble in comparison. But, cosmic scale isn't just about huge stars. Some of the most surprising size comparisons come from things you might think are pretty insignificant. Things like asteroids. Check this out. On the left, you've got Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth. Impressive, right? Well, on the right is a mountain called Rhea Silvia Mons. It is nearly 3 times taller than Everest. And get this, it's sitting on an asteroid. A mountain on a rock in space just dwarfs ours. So we have seen the incredible scale, but beyond just being big, the universe is a place of unbelievable extremes. We're talking about incredible violence, unimaginable cold, and a silence that is just absolute. Let's start with the heat. A single solar flare, just an eruption off the surface of the sun, can unleash a mind-boggling amount of energy. To give you an idea, it's like millions of the most powerful nuclear bombs ever made, all going off at the exact same instant. But for all that intense, unimaginable heat, the universe itself is the polar opposite. The average temperature of empty space is about minus 455 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just a couple of degrees above absolute zero, the coldest temperature that can possibly exist. And that extreme cold is directly linked to another key feature of space. It's a near-perfect vacuum. What that means is there's basically no matter, no particles, floating around between the planets and the stars. Nothing to carry heat or sound. And that's the kicker. With no particles to vibrate, sound just can't travel. All those epic space battles in the movies with the huge explosions and loud booms? Totally fake. The reality is a deep, profound, and absolute silence. It's kind of creepy when you think about it. These extremes of temperature and silence are just the beginning. The weather on other planets can be just out of this world. On Saturn, for instance, the conditions are so intense, they create something you would not believe. Scientists have good reason to believe that because of the immense pressure in Saturn's atmosphere, it literally rains diamonds. And I'm not talking about a little sprinkle. We're talking about an estimated 2.2 million pounds of diamonds falling from the sky every single year. But amongst all these wild alien extremes, sometimes we find something that's actually pretty familiar. NASA has now confirmed that there is water on Mars. And that's a huge deal, a little reminder that the building blocks of life as we know it might be more common than we think. Okay, so we've looked at these huge impersonal forces, but what does it actually feel like for a human being to be up there? Well, the reality for an astronaut is often a lot stranger than you might imagine. Let's start with a really basic human function. You're up at the space station, you have a fizzy drink. Can you burp? It sounds like a silly question, but the answer tells you so much about how our bodies are just built for Earth. And the answer is no, not really. See, on Earth, gravity pulls all the liquid and food in your stomach down, which lets the gas rise to the top and come out as a burp. Without gravity, it's all just floating around together in there. So if you try to burp, well, it's not going to be pleasant.
Okay, let's try another sense. We've all seen pictures of the moon, but what does it smell like? When the astronauts would come back inside their lunar lander, that moon dust that got tracked in on their suits, it had a really distinct smell. And they all said pretty much the same thing. It smells like used gunpowder, like that sharp, metallic smell after a firework goes off. Nobody's exactly sure why, but it's such a cool, specific sensory detail from another world. We are just about at the end of our little tour of cosmic oddities. And for our last stop, let's look at our closest planetary neighbor, Venus. It just goes to show you, you don't have to travel to the other side of the galaxy to find things that completely break your brain.
Okay, try and get your head around this. A single day on Venus, that's one full spin, takes 243 Earth days. But a whole year on Venus, one trip around the sun, is actually shorter, at only about 225 Earth days. Yep, you heard that right. On Venus, a day is longer than a year. Just let that sink in for a minute.
And that's really the final thought. We've seen that there are more trees on our planet than stars in our galaxy. We've seen mountains on asteroids, diamond rain, and a planet where a day lasts longer than a year. So the real question is this. If our own cosmic neighborhood is this wonderfully bizarre, what other unimaginable wonders are still out there, just waiting for us to find them?